Good morning. Just waiting for the stream to catch up here. Looks like we're good. Yeah, I think we're all right. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. Today we're in Zbrush. I'm working on the wall for that diorama I've got going. It's a stylized diorama set that I'm working on, and I've taken the parts here into Zbrush, and I actually deleted a couple of them because I realized like I didn't need so many pieces. I can just take the existing pieces I have and use both sides. Like I might as well take advantage of having two sides to each piece of wood, or four sides essentially. And I can just kind of rotate and scale things and then bake a texture. I can bake maybe 2 or 3 different versions of the wall without having to sculpt a whole bunch of different pieces. I got a couple of the bricks knocked out. I still gotta add a couple little miscellaneous details to them, but I kind of like the way they're looking, and I'm just kind of sculpting the basic details onto the wood planks now. The wall is gonna have like essentially 2 main parts. It's gonna have the stones on the bottom and then the wood planks running across the top, and I'm gonna have one thick plank on top of the stones. That's kind of like the base of the where that separates the stone from the wood. It might not make a lot of sense until I actually show it when I put it back together and bake it, but that'll be on Friday. Speaking of which, on Friday, I will be streaming on Friday, but it's going to be in the afternoon as opposed to the morning. I have a work meeting to go to. It's actually my day off, but there's a mandatory work meeting, so I got to do that. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. So the stream will be a little bit later on Friday, but I will be here. Probably around 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock, give or take. And that'll be the our texture bake day. So I'm just gonna go ahead and carry on, and let's see, let me turn all the bricks off just to kind of lighten the load on my computer while we stream. I was kind of doing this like assembly line style, where I do the same process on each part before I move on to the next major process. Like I'm just kind of sculpting in the little ridges right now, or wood detail. And then after I do that, I'll do the part where I use the clay buildup brush just to kind of scuff up and make a little bit of surface noise on the surface of the wood. But I'm doing it kind of all at the same time, so to speak. Instead of doing one piece and doing the clay buildup and then knocking it down, I'm gonna do each process on each piece. That way I'll have it the same technique and exact flow that I'm using for each piece, because it's kind of easy to lose yourself in the exact technique you use, because you might find something while you're doing it, like, oh, like I really like the way this works. and then your pieces end up looking slightly different, you know. So to avoid that, that's kind of why I'm trying this anyway. We'll see how it goes. All right. So to show you what I mean, I've got all the I don't know what to call it, the wood rings, I guess. Even though they're not rings, this would be a really big tree. But the wood detail kind of sculpted in the basic details. And now I'll use the clay buildup brush. And just click on this guy and we'll isolate it to build up some basic noise. Not no, yeah, I guess noise is the right term on the surface of the wood here. And then I'll flatten that down after the fact. But I want to do this to each piece first before I flatten it. And we'll see how this works out, because normally I do it the whole piece, flatten it out, and then I move on to the next piece. But I really want to see if I can make this work to stay consistent. And it's just, you know, it's a kind of how you learn. For me anyway, like you got to kind of do something a little different. I have a bad habit of getting stuck in certain techniques, and it's hard to really learn anything new anyway if you're just doing the same thing over and over, the same exact technique on everything. So we'll see. Hopefully it works out. Work has been kicking my butt lately, so I've definitely been a little on the tired side lately. Super unmotivated too, to be honest. But I'm at a point where I'm really feeling a little more comfortable and a little more confident with the working between Blender and the whole process of going from a block out to a high poly to a low poly and baking it. And I want to make sure I can keep that momentum and keep learning and keep progressing. Just want to make sure the oops. Why? Okay. Wanted to make sure the chat was working for those of you who join us regularly. I appreciate you guys showing up. Definitely makes it a little more fun to have somebody around to you know, ask questions, give me feedback, give me advice, critique me. It's easy to get lost in your own work, and like, you know, if nobody ever tells you what's right or wrong with it, you just kind of like, oh, I think it looks great, and then it kind of doesn't. But if nobody ever tells you, you just, you know, you won't know. And this is a pretty easy process. It's time consuming, not super time consuming. I guess you could say it's more tedious. It's actually pretty quick, but it's definitely it feels tedious because you're sort of repeating this process over and over that doesn't really show or pay off until the very end. It definitely makes me, I keep talking about it, but it definitely makes me more and more eager to learn Substance Designer. Especially seeing what people are doing with it now, because like the idea of just creating all these details in a procedural way that you can just go back to right away sounds so cool to me. You know, you can create a substance for wood, and from what I understand, you can just go back in and change it if you need a different version of it, you know, without having to do the whole process over again. Although I do enjoy the sculpting, it's very I don't know, it's very relaxing somehow. It's like it's really easy to lose yourself in your thoughts. For me anyway, I find when I'm sculpting. Here we go. And I'll flatten that down, but instead of doing that now, I'm gonna continue on each piece. I just kind of like crisscross down. I try to stay in between the details I've already made to kind of exaggerate it a little more. Oh yeah, I got this new well, it's not new, it's actually old matte cap. It's called My Dirty Blue. I guess the creator is a longtime ZBrush user. But I really like the way it catches the highlights and crevices. It's really it's fantastic for that. I actually got the idea to download it from, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Let me look it up. T.S. Whittlebach or something like that. Let's see if I can find his. I don't know if you guys watch the Pixelogic live streams, or I don't actually watch the live streams per se, but I do watch the replays on YouTube. They're really good. I definitely recommend them if you're a ZBrush user. Where is that? I mean, they have so many good artists and they give you so many good ideas. Where is it? Where are you? Let me just click on the they have so many people. Like if you're in a 3D printing, there's a lot of guys who use ZBrush and they show you their 3D printing process on how they go from like Zbrush to their 3D printing program, which is something I'm hoping to jump into a little in a couple of months here. I just have to save my money first and start exploring the different printers and which ones are good for a beginner. Yeah, T.S. Whittlesbach. Whittlesbach. I guess he does a lot of jewelry design and stuff, but he's also just a great artist in general, great sculptor. So if you're like into like super detailed jewelry and stuff, and 3D printing, he's one of the cool guys to. They're all great to watch. Just depends what type of stuff you're into. I also really like Shane Olson because he does a lot of stylized stuff, mostly characters, but it's still helpful to help me learn. I definitely recommend it if you use ZBrush because there's a lot of great information coming out of that YouTube channel. Kind of getting the bark, even though there's no bark on here. This is just going to be a surface detail, surface noise. It helps make the normal map and texture bakes a little more interesting. Gives it a little more to work with when you're using the masks and the capabilities of Substance Painter. And I keep it mostly random, just crisscrossing. And I used to try to make like negatives, like hold the Alt button and dig in. But sometimes I find it's too noticeable. Like I don't want the surface to become too indented and too built up too much. For lumber anyway, because you know lumber it's wood that's been run through saws and run through machines, and it's, even though like the concept I'm going with is, you know, kind of rough cut lumber, it's still lumber. It's still wood that's been purposely milled to specifications of the carpenters, you know. So it's still got to be relatively uniform. Yes, I don't build it up too much, and I don't dig into it too much for the lumber. If this was like a tree, I would definitely be a lot more aggressive with it, I think. Again, this is following the details, trying to stay consistent. I'm gonna try using, for those of you guys who watch who are Blender users, I'm thinking of messing around with 2.8 because I know it's a long ways from being actually released, but it might be a good idea to start getting familiar with it so that when it is released, it's not completely new territory, because I know there's a lot of pretty big changes in it. And I'd like to just kind of be ready to roll as soon as they release it. Plus, I'm really excited to use the Eevee render engine in it. Just it looks, you know, the real-time renderer. I like the way that type of renderer looks, kind of like Marmoset. Like, I know a lot of people shoot for ultra realism, but I like style. I like the video game and comic book look, kind of like that chunky art style. Like, I like the way video game characters look. The you know, it's pretty much an art style at this point. Oh, speaking of art styles, I am gonna start like a little personal challenge for myself. You know, if you have been watching the channel for a little while, I've just started doing some game streams, but here and there, while I'm doing my game stream, I take screenshots of certain things that I think would be fun to try to model, try to sculpt, and also would be like a nice little personal challenge to help me improve and learn stuff. Right now, I've been rolling around in the new World of Warcraft expansion, the Battle for Azeroth. And I'm gonna try, I still have to learn how to use video editing software. It's funny, everybody tells me it's so easy, and it's a little, whoa, that was too hard. You know, if you've never used it before, it's definitely not as easy as everybody says it is, in my opinion. But anyways, I'm starting to teach myself DaVinci Resolve because it's free, and it seems really powerful from what I can tell, especially once you get a hang of it. I mean, I was kind of willing to pay for it, but I don't like the idea of renting my software. If there's an option where I can get a permanent license, I would rather do that. That's just my preference. I know some people, it's great for entry level to get going with the software, but it's just a weird thing to me. Like, what if, you know, a couple years from now or even 1 year, like you decide you don't want to subscribe, or you were working for a company that used that software and you had some personal projects that you had been messing around with, and now you can't even access those files because you don't have a subscription to that software at home. It's not cool. That's not a good business model long term, especially for you know, freelance artists and hobbyists. But that's just my opinion. For large studios, it totally makes sense. They don't have to, they can just subscribe for a much smaller monthly fee instead of that giant yearly upgrade fee. But at the same time, it's for a hobbyist, especially like me, you know, I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. Asking for that money, that much money every month on top of the regular bills we have is crazy. It adds up, you know. Especially when you're straight out of school. Like if you just graduated and you're an art student, like art software it can be overwhelmingly expensive. The hardware and the software that you need, and I feel like it's something they don't tell us about while you're in school. Like they teach you all this software that's industry standard, which is cool, but they don't tell you how much the industry standard price is. But that's a decision everyone has to make on their own. All right, almost done with the planks here. I am planning on doing an attempt at a review on my Blue Yeti mic. I don't know if you guys have clicked on the video on my YouTube channel, my unboxing. You can see how terrible I am at that type of content. Reviewing stuff and unboxing things it's funny. It's something we all do, but you don't do it on camera, and you're not necessarily trying to explain it to somebody when you're opening your package when it gets here from Amazon or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna try to do a review on my Blue Yeti mic. It's gonna be more from the perspective of, or completely from the perspective of, it's my first microphone, other than my headset. And I'm just gonna talk about it from that point of view, as opposed to, I'm not gonna break down the frequency response and this and that. Like some guys, I'll leave it to the guys who are good at that, for that kind of thing. Basically, it'll be a review for people who are new to streaming and are looking at the Blue Yeti mic as an option because they want to get better audio quality, which is what I wanted to do. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be coming up relatively soon. Like I said, I'm still learning how to use the video editing software, so I do want to try to make it a little better than my first recorded video, I guess, because I've only done one or two actual pre-recorded videos. Everything, I just stream everything, especially the art stuff. I find it's more engaging, definitely more challenging, especially once people start asking you questions. But it's super fun, super entertaining, hopefully for everybody. But for me, it's fun to see people's responses and questions and feedback. Speaking of feedback, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to hit me up. Drop a comment in the chat or drop a comment in the comment section if you're watching it on YouTube. All of my streams I archive on YouTube. I do stream on Twitch also. But But I think Twitch deletes the videos after 30 days, but they're there also. But yeah, I have a lot of all my streams pretty much with my full workflow process, and you can. It'll probably be kind of neat if you're sort of in the same position I am. I'm like a hobbyist, self-taught beginner for digital art and 3D art. And you might find some useful information there to help you get started. If you're, especially if you're into like 3D modeling and sculpting, and they're not tutorials per se, but it's just kind of like me working through my process and my thought process on things as I'm working. I think once I get a little more comfortable, I might consider doing like full-blown tutorials, but more like simplified and straightforward, like to the point stuff. But that's definitely a ways off. I have to still definitely not confident enough to give people that kind of information, because I just, you know, I don't want to give the wrong information. But let me know what you guys think about that. Like if it's something you'd be interested in. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there, but it's good to get a fresh set of eyes sometimes, you know, and a new perspective. Almost done with this part anyway. Oh, I still have that side. Yeah, this is what I meant by it's a little bit tedious, but it's not hard per se. I do try to keep going like down or the same direction on each plank. That way there's a consistency. It's still random as far as the texture and the direction I go with each stroke, but they all follow the same, or the pattern is random, but they follow the same direction. So there's some consistency to it. Oh, I forgot to, I didn't finish about my personal challenge. The screenshots I've been taking in World of Warcraft, I'm gonna try to do time-lapse modeling of them. And I want to see how far I can get on my day. Like it'll probably be on my day off or something. I'd like to try to give myself maybe like 3 hours, 4 hours, just to see how far I can get in the workflow process, like from block out to sculpt and get as close to a finished prop as I can. trying to do fan art, quick little fan art of some of the simple props I've been looking at it and taking screenshots at in Battle for Azeroth. Ooh. Right. We got the didn't that do anything? I guess it did. The basic wood grains kind of sculpted out, and now I'll do some of the knockdown process. I like to use the orb flatten brush to start off. Oh, come here. And that's probably big enough, maybe 60. And the brush size will vary depending on the scale of your object. I'll just kind of go through and basically clean it up. But I try to do the same thing. I try to follow the cracks I made. And this will just give me a lot of surface variation without it being so noisy. And it gives it like a nice stylized kind of look. I do one pass with the orb flatten, and then I do a pass with the AJ polish brush. I believe they're both free brushes. If you just Google AJ polish or AJ cracks, I think. Yeah, just AJ cracks or AJ polish brush. It should pop up in the Google search. And the orbs crack brush and the whole orbs pack. I definitely recommend getting that if you don't have it. It'll help speed up your workflow. And it's free, or you can donate a couple bucks if you want. You know, like I try to support these guys who do these things for free. I mean, I only gave them $2, you know, not a whole lot, but hey, you know, anything helps, you know. A lot of these guys don't have to give this stuff away. So, you know, that'll help him buy his next coffee or, you know, next beer next time he goes out. You know, and if everybody gives him a couple bucks, we're definitely helping him out. So if you can spare it, throw him $1 or $2 if you do get those brushes. And that'll also, you know, I don't know these guys, or I'm not trying to promote them. I am trying to promote them actually, but I have no relationship with any of them. I just think it's awesome that they do this. A lot of these artists create all these things for us to use for free. And if we give back a little to them, maybe they'll make some more cool free stuff. or extremely affordable, you know. A couple bucks is a small price to pay for the, like, I use the Orbs crack brush all the time. Like, I love that brush. And I know a lot of other artists out there use it. In fact, it's probably overused at this point, but just an example. Just something to keep in mind when you do get any of this stuff. Give a little back. I'm just going through, kind of flatten it out so it's cleaner. You know, because like I said, this is lumber. It's not, I guess, raw wood. So it would be relatively uniform and relatively flat. And mostly stay between the cracks. They do get knocked down a bit, but after the fact, I'll go through and kind of run those cracks in again with the Orbs crack brush. Kind of accentuate them, I guess. Kind of make them pop out a little more. It is pretty neat watching the pieces come to life, so to speak, or evolve into the more of what you're picturing in your mind. I really enjoy that about art, the art process. Very rewarding when you have something in your head and you can actually translate it into something on screen or on paper, so to speak. Probably pretty good. Then I hit it with this brush, the AJ polish. I don't know what AJ stands for, but he's got a lot of good brushes too, and they're free. And same thing, you know, throw him a buck or two if you can spare it. Whoops. This one kind of, it's a combination, it feels similar to the H polish brush, but it's a little more like aggressive, I guess. Not really sure how to describe it. This is just to clean it a little bit more because I definitely want it to be a little more clean. If it were the actual bark of a tree, I would definitely be adding a lot more, not necessarily noise, but I guess you could call them secondary details. Not micro detail, but like the medium sized details. That's something I'm starting to like just now grasp in my head, I think. For stylized stuff, you don't really, I don't think anyway, I don't think it's good to have a lot of micro detail. You know, because it seems like that's kind of the whole idea of stylized, is to the simplified version. Like you want to have your big shapes, your medium shapes, and just a little bit, very little small shapes. It's all about the silhouette and the readability. Like, yeah, like that's about the size, you know, that it's gonna probably be at when I put the whole diorama together. Did I do this side yet? No. Polish these down. Finish this piece up. Whoops. That's what I mean by it's a little more aggressive than the regular H polish. Clean that part up. I think I did this area. Touch it up one more time. There we go. And the other one's out. There, now you can like see the difference there. Yeah. Let me go ahead and try to get a better render here so we can see that on screen for you guys. Do you think render properties? Just turn on ambient occlusion. I think that'll be good enough. Yeah. Yeah, you can see it just looks a little nicer, a little cleaner, but it's still got that like kind of rough cut lumber look to it. I mean, actually it doesn't look anything like real lumber, but it's got that stylized lumber look. If you're doing a stylized wood or a real wood, I mean, I definitely would encourage you to like go to Home Depot and just look at the wood because they have all the lumber there in the lumber department. And it's a good way to really get an understanding of how simple wood like is, and like it's kind of a hard thing to illustrate or represent because it's wood is it's so clean, like the surface of it is clean. Like yeah, you can see the wood grains in it, but they don't dig in. Oh hey, they don't dig in. There's no bumps or major imperfections. But when you stylize it, you have all that. Now I'll just jump back to the Orbs crack brush. Just kind of dig some of these cracks out a little more. Just to accentuate them. Don't have to do all of them. I found I had a bad habit of bringing out every crack in it. It wasn't necessary. Basically, I like to focus on the big ones. Just kind of clean them up just a little bit. I'm gonna add like a little extra pop to everything. And I noticed the other day, you guys, some of the chat, I missed a lot of it. So if I didn't respond, I apologize. It's not because I was ignoring you. I just, sometimes the chat stream, it lags behind or something. And then I'll look back after I'm done streaming and I'll see all these comments or a couple of questions. And I apologize if it seemed like I was ignoring you. I definitely wasn't. It's just the way this chat app I have for Restream works. I have to look into it and see how I can improve that. I just kind of dig a couple of these out. I still have to go through and do the grains or the layers. I don't know, the circles, the rings, the wood rings. There we go, and just kind of apply heavy pressure in some areas and light pressure in a couple others. Make use of that pen pressure. And this just helps add to the variety. Let's see what now we can get a look at kind of like a, we turn perspective on. Get a little BPR sample. Yeah, it definitely looks good. So now just basically I'm going to repeat that process. Whoops. Let me turn perspective off. On each piece. I think I like doing it this way because it doesn't, it's not necessarily faster, but I feel like I definitely will be able to stay more consistent. Going from this style, instead of doing one piece start to finish. Yeah, kind of. My plan is to take, let me, I'm gonna bake a couple of, not tileable textures, but modular textures, I guess. But this way I can take a couple of these pieces and just rotate them and scale them. That way I can get like 2 or 3 different panels. That way my walls don't all look exactly the same in the diorama once I make them. So yeah, it's sort of modular, but I don't think it's modular in the sense of like video game assets. It's not like modular video game assets. You can like just use them like Lego blocks and just be like boom, boom, boom next to each other. These are very single use scenario for my diorama. It's a similar, but not modular in the sense, in the same way you would make for a video game. I haven't actually ever made a true modular set yet. Maybe I'll try to figure that out for the next major project I work on. But yeah, like I'll take these stones. I haven't finished the stones yet. But this way I can rotate them and scale them to get more variation in the texture once I bake it. I'm probably going to make 3 different versions of the texture. That way each, you know, only every third wall will be the same. It won't be like the same wall on every wall. But yeah, let's see, we're hitting about an hour. I'm gonna call it a stream. I will do a little more detail on this tomorrow. Tomorrow I don't work till late, and on Friday I will be back, but I will be it won't be till later in the day. Like typically I start around 10:30. I won't be on probably till 1 or 2 in the afternoon because I have a mandatory work meeting to go to. So I will stream. It's just going to be later than usual. And also on Saturday, I'm going to do the game stream. So if you're interested in that, you know, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you'll know as soon as I go live. And if you like the video and the content, hit that thumbs up. Thanks everybody for showing up and for the comments and questions. And like I said, if I miss your comments or questions, I'm still trying to figure out, like, for some reason not all the chat are showing up in my chat app. Like I noticed some from Twitch don't show up for some weird reason, but they are showing up on the Twitch channel. But I'll look into it and I'll try to figure it out. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you Friday afternoon, and we will be texture baking. I will bake out the maps in Marmoset Toolbag, and then I'll apply the texture paint in Substance Painter. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you guys on Friday. Have a good week, and see you soon.